never murdered nobody or anything like that. But I think about, like, am I gonna go down just for knowing about shit or whatever? They never got in the car with me when I got back. When I got back, they was in the house.
Hang on, let me explain.
Steven Carden was the kind of man who showed up for his family, for his community, for anyone who needed him. And in February of 2022, he was murdered. Not by a stranger, but by someone who thought she could walk away clean. Diara Hood didn't pull the trigger. She didn't have to. She set the whole thing in motion and then sat in an interrogation room trying to pretend none of it had anything to do with her. What she didn't realize? Detectives already had the phone records. They already had the gun. They had everything. Today we're going through this case piece by piece, the evidence and the interrogation footage that buried her. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe. Let's get into it.
Like I said, I'm Detective Kink. This is Detective Perowski, okay?
Excellent.
Let me turn my phone off really quick.
So, we're just here. We're going to have a very important conversation today with you. Maybe one of the most important conversations you've had in kind of a long time. We've got some questions that we'd like your help with, and a lot of this stuff is going to be very important to you, what we're going to talk about, okay? Before we do that, though, let's just confirm some information. Can you spell your full name? Your Diara?
D-I-A-R-A. Hood, H-O-D, hyphen
Early?
Early. Yeah.
What's your middle name? How do you pronounce it? Nishay?
Nishay.
Okay.
Well, listen, I don't have any warrants or anything on you right now, okay? But obviously you're in custody, you've got the probation thing. So before we can talk, I'm going to read your rights, okay? So just let me know. I'm going to read these. If you have any questions, stop me and let me know if you understand these, okay? Those all make sense to you?
Yes.
Understand those? Okay. I guess we just want to get some background stuff really quick. So this, Summerridge Lane, have you stayed there recently, or where have you been living recently?
Where they got me from, the address that they locked me up from, I guess.
That was
Johnson
as of
Road.
yesterday, Johnson Road. Okay. How long have you been staying there?
Probably for just like a month.
Okay. And you were, from what I understand, I talked briefly with the DeKalb guys today. Like I said, what I want to talk to you about doesn't have anything to do with their case, so I'm not going to go into all that stuff. I understand that you had already talked.
Now this is Detective Perowski, and right away you can see his approach. No raised voice, no pressure, just calm, methodical questions about her address and her living situation. This is textbook. He's not trying to intimidate her. He's trying to make her comfortable enough to keep talking. And Diara? She's already doing exactly what he wants. She's answering. She's cooperating. She thinks this is just routine background stuff. What she doesn't know is Perowski has been working homicide in Gwinnett County for years, and he's already 3 steps ahead of her.
Well, I guess we'll just jump into it, and I'll kind of give you an idea of the main things we want to talk about, okay? Your name has come up in some cases that I'm working here in Gwinnett County, all right? Like I told you, I don't have any warrants on you. I'm not the type of guy, I know we've never met, I'm not here to play tricks on you or try to, play any games with you, okay? That's just not me. I'm not the type that's going to yell at you and slam my fist and do all that. I know people have a vision in their head sometimes of what detectives do, but I just want to ask you about some of these things. I'd like to get your side of this because obviously there's always 2 sides. So I want to have a conversation with you and just see if you can help me out with some of this information. There's at least a robbery or 2 around here where your name has kind of been floating around. The main thing we want to talk about is a homicide. Okay, that happened. Homicide, yeah. The case I want to talk to you about happened back at the end of July. Do you remember where you were living at the end of July?
No.
You don't?
Not really.
Would it, if I said I thought you were living in Highland Walk off South Norcross Tucker, does that ring a bell?
I mean, I've stayed there. Like, I stayed in there with a friend a few times, but I wasn't necessarily living there. I would just in and out.
Stayed with Chelsea?
Yeah.
How long do you think you stayed with her?
Every now and then, like, for a few weeks it lasted.
Do you remember what time frame that might have been? What month
It
or
might
just
have been
roughly?
around like June or July, like
Kind of into the summer?
summer. Like it was hot when I was there. I remember it just being hot.
Who else lived there with Chelsea? Did anybody else?
Did you catch that? She says she doesn't remember where she was living at the end of July. Doesn't remember. But then Perowski drops Highland Walk off South Thornton, and suddenly she remembers Chelsea. Suddenly she remembers staying there 14 weeks, but also in and out. The timeline is already contradicting itself, and we're barely 2 minutes in. Here's what matters. Steven Carden was murdered at the end of July. The exact window she claims she can't quite place. That's not a coincidence. That's the foundation of a case.
I don't know if you were there and saw this, or if, I don't know the details around that, and that's what it's very important for you to help fill me in on this.
I don't know nothing about no shooting, nothing like that.
Okay.
And like, to be honest, I meet a lot of people. And like, I talk to a lot of people, and like, if it's just some guy, like, I don't know, like,
Let me
what
run
was
some.
what was it
Yeah.
about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was it about, drugs or?
Let me run some stuff by you then, real quick. Your old phone number. You remember?
No, I've had a lot of numbers.
Okay.
Before, so I really can't really.
Well, I mean,
I
this
smoke
is-
weed every day.
This is a bunch of your text messages from that number, and there's stuff in here that I'm sure you'll recognize, like talking to Psycho, your friend, Giovanni, stuff like that. Okay. Most of these messages are back and forth between you and Tyler.
Oh, okay.
Looney. Some of these highlighted messages are of interest to us because those are messages between your phone and the person who was shot. So
Okay,
that's what we're talking
who
about.
was
Is
this
we're
person like that was shot? Like, let me see.
Yeah, that first.
here, you can sort through those.
You ever remember meeting that guy?
I can't really too much say, but I do remember meeting these white guys. I remember meeting some white guys, and like they're really like they were trying to prostitute or something like that, or like really like I had like really just wanted to hang out with them to make money off of them, but like they never end up showing up. Like I don't know, I was on the phone with the guy, and then I just heard a bunch of ruckus shit, and like the phone cut off, and where I was gonna meet him at, I was there. And I was in Chelsea's car, but nothing happened. Like, he never showed up, anything like that. And then that's when I seen, like, on news the next day what happened.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. Did you meet these guys at Don Pollo?
I met them actually in the, like around the street in the parking lot because the other clubs that I go to that I told you about is right next door.
Yeah, it's
like,
all group
across
right
the
there,
street.
right
yeah,
there.
it's across
I've
the
been-
street.
yeah.
So I met them in the parking lot and like
What
I
were
sold,
they when you
I
met
sold
them?
them drugs.
You
so,
sold them drugs in the parking
yeah,
lot? What'd you sell them?
Some coke.
Okay. What was the plan after that? Why were you still talking to them?
Like because like they had money and
They wanted more?
I wanted, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were talking about partying and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, really, like, me being a young girl, like, I'm not new to the streets, obviously. So, I already knew what they really wanted was sex, you know what I'm saying? But in my mind, I just wanted money. Like, you know, like, I just wanted
You
to,
got a
like,
kid. You had a kid at that point,
yeah.
right? You need money.
Like, I just wanted to basically, like, sell to them, you know what I'm
Look,
saying?
I understand. Trust me, this is not, like you said,
Yeah.
you're not new to the streets. We're not new to doing this. Okay,
I mean, like,
it is
yeah,
what it
is
is.
it a coincidence or was that weird?
She just told on herself. I was on the phone with a guy and then I just heard a bunch of ruckus and the phone cut off. That's her version of events. She's placing herself on a call with Steven Carden moments before his murder. And here's what she doesn't realize. Those phone records Perowski mentioned, they don't just show she called Steven, they show duration and timing. The call didn't cut off because of ruckus. It cut off because Steven Carden was being shot. She's not distancing herself from the crime. She's confirming the timeline that convicts her.
And like I saw a car by itself, like in the front, so I'm like, that's probably their car. You know that I remember,
You know what kind of
because
car
like
it
I
was?
did have a few drinks, but it was like they were in like a dark colored car, like a smaller, like regular car. Like I don't remember the brand or
Yeah, it's
anything
been
like
a
that,
little while, right?
but I know it was like a dark colored car that I seen parked right there, and that's the car that I gave them the dope in. So I
Okay.
saw it, of course. I remembered.
So ultimately, you remember
So
where
I
you
just
were
left.
at the point when you heard all that on the phone?
When I heard that on the phone, I was in the front of the shopping center parked. And like that's when I had found out that they was outside of the car walking around, you know. So then that's when like I was trying to get like him to come to where I was at. But then I drove around. Like once I heard all the noise and like it hanged up, I drove around, drove like fast, and then that's when I heard the shot. And when I heard the shot, like I just panicked and I just dipped. Like that's when I knew like fuck that, I'm gone. Like cause Chelsea started calling my phone and shit.
So where did you drive around after you heard the shot?
Well, I didn't drive around after I heard the shot.
Oh.
I just left. Like I left the little abandoned apartment because at first I drove around right there. Then I parked in the front. But like when I heard that shit, I just like left because my phone started ringing, and I was just like, and Cho was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I just heard shots. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on my way back to the house." So I drove back, and like I just wanted to make sure like everybody else was okay too, but everybody was already in the house.
Did you, on your way back, did you pick anybody up?
No, I didn't pick anybody.
You just
up.
went back,
I was just by
and
myself.
you said the other guys that had left came back around the same time?
Like they were already in the house. When
they were already back.
Yeah, they was already back.
All of them?
Yeah,
so
all of them was already back.
JP, JD, Jason, and Looney?
Yeah, they was
and
all
Chelsea
already
was
in the house.
there the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So what happened after? What happened after you guys all got back?
After we all got back, we just smoked and like basically just called it a night. Like it was just weird. Like we talked about it and we just called it a night.
What did you guys
And,
talk
like,
about it? What do you mean?
Like hearing the shots and stuff like that. Like you know what I'm saying? These guys they was like, man, probably something happened to them or something like that. And then I was like, you never know. I was like, the guy seemed like he was drugged up or something, you know, and like. Cause you know, like I don't know, like I know you know how people act when they're on drugs. It's like they talk about stuff that you don't like. That's really not even necessary to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like so, like really, that's what gave it off. That he was probably like on something else, like other than coke, other than what I did.
Anything that stands out that you can think of that they were talking?
Look at this. She's now walking them through the entire night step by step. Where she parked, what car they drove, who came back to the house. She's giving them a complete roster of everyone involved. JP, JD, Jason, Looney, like she's organizing a group project. And here's the thing. Diara thinks she's explaining away her innocence by saying she just left after hearing the shot. But what she's actually doing is confirming she was there when Steven Carden was killed, and that she knew exactly who pulled the trigger. The gun evidence Perowski's about to drop? It ties directly back to this group she just named.
I just heard a bunch of ruckus.
So you heard who said that?
The guy that I was talking to, which I believe the whole time I was talking to the blonde hair guy, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like I'm not really sure because I can't.
Sure. Yeah. I understand.
You know, like, but I think that I was because I'm the one. Like I gave him my number to him, so like I'm guessing I was talking to him the whole time since he was the one that was more interested.
Was that the one that was driving or passenger?
He was the passenger. He was the one that was driving when I met them.
This was the passenger. Yeah.
Oh, well, when I met them, the blonde was the passenger.
Okay.
And he was the driver.
Okay. In this picture, I don't know his hair color. It's obviously black and white, maybe. But either way, regardless, it's the same.
I don't even remember what they looked like that much.
No, I understand. Yeah, I know you guys had a pretty quick interaction with them. Okay. Well, I guess the biggest things that I think we need to kind of iron out, there's a few things. You know, like I said, there's all I need from you is the truth, okay? Because obviously, in something like this,
like I said, this is a very important conversation for you.
I'm trying to think of how to put this to where it makes the most sense. Obviously, this is a very serious crime, okay? And I think most of what you're telling me is true. I don't have reason to doubt, you know, probably about 85% of what you're telling me.
To do with what happened?
Well, I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to explain to you, and I don't know that you were there and witnessed it. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I want to get across is that more than your phone has come back around to you in this whole thing. Do you have any clue what more I could possibly link back to you in this whole thing?
What?
Or the group of friends?
What I sold to them?
No, it has nothing to do with drugs. I don't care about the drugs.
You have one really big problem right now, which is why you're here talking to us.
What?
Okay?
A picture of a gun, of me holding a gun?
Do you know why that gun's important?
Why?
Can you guess?
I don't know why that gun's important.
Because that's the gun that killed the guy in this apartment complex.
Well, that's not even my gun.
I understand that.
I
That's
just
why
took
it's
the
important.
picture
That's why it's important for you to talk to
us.
us, because we need to know the history of this gun.
Well, first off, the history of the gun was like, well, first, I guess the guns were Dubs, and when he got locked up, all these little guys that were around him or whatever, because, you know, like, I guess y'all should know that, like, how I know Dub was he sold me weed. You know what I'm saying? He sold dope. So these little guys that was around or that's related to him was supposed to be like his little guys. So I guess they took over and they the ones who had his guns. So that's why, like, you know what I'm saying? Just when like take a little Facebook picture with it. What they did with the guns, I don't know.
Who normally carried that gun around?
Well, I know mostly like JP carried them, like because he was the oldest out of everybody. So he was the one that
J Pistol? They go by that too?
Yeah. Like, so he was the one that really like told them what to do or how to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't really know what happened to the guns, like, after we left them or whatever.
That's
but
fine.
I didn't know that was the gun that killed a guy. I don't
That's
know.
why.
How did you have that gun? How long did you have that gun?
Not long. This was inside the house. Like, I never had it. So it was like, they had it. They always had the gun.
This is a picture you took just for fun.
Yeah. They always had the gun.
Did you ever carry that gun around anywhere?
And anywhere, like, no, because they said that the gun had got taken. Like, those guns had got taken. Like, this is a gun that I think has been gone for a long time already. Like, right?
We have that
because,
gun.
Yeah. You should. Because, like, I believe that's what Chelsea had got mad at them because I guess, like, some little guy that they was hanging with had got caught with the gun. And, like, she got explained why to Dub, like, why he lost out on his gun, whatever, you know, so.
Are you starting to see why this is important to you, though? Why this conversation is important?
Because I have this gun, what,
no,
you think I killed him?
because you're talking to this guy who ends up trying to look for you in your neighborhood. He gets shot with a gun that's been in your possession, okay? The situation you're in right here is we have to figure out if you didn't have this gun at that time, who did, and it's your group of friends. And this is very important to you because this is the difference from you being a part of this to you being a witness in this. Do you understand?
Yeah, but
there's
like
nothing
I
more
said,
serious
I never
you can
saw
do with
them.
it.
Like, I never seen them, so.
And there it is. The murder weapon traced back to a gun she posed with on Facebook. Not some distant connection, not circumstantial. A photograph she took. Diara's sitting there thinking she can explain away possession by pointing fingers at JP and Dove's crew, but Perowski already has everything he needs. She just spent the last 20 minutes building the prosecution's case for them. The gun that killed Steven Carden passed through her hands and her social circle. That's not a witness. That's a co-conspirator.
Let me explain to you why this is so important to you, because I want to make sure that you get a fair chance to explain this, and we're not just out fishing for information. There's a lot more to this. We have all your text messages, obviously. I've got them pretty far back, and in your text messages, it's not really secret. There's several times in there where you've texted people about setting up robberies, or with friends. The group collectively, one person or another has set up robberies. Okay, so you have to look at this from our perspective and from what the evidence that we have right now shows, and that's why what you're telling us is very important for us to understand. I have a pattern of you being involved in setting up robberies. Okay, I have you meeting a couple guys downtown, exchanging phone numbers, talking to them. They're coming to meet you. There's no dispute that their intent is to come down there to meet you. They don't live anywhere near South Norcross Tucker Road. I've got now, that on face value, it is what it is. But then we start adding other stuff to it, which now we've got the gun as a component in it.
Perowski just laid out her entire history. Not accusations, not theories. Text messages going back months, showing a pattern of setting up robberies. This wasn't Steven Carden being in the wrong place at the wrong time. This was Diara Hood running a playbook she'd used before. The detective isn't fishing. He's showing her the net she's already tangled in. Phone records and the gun, and now documented prior behavior. She thought this was her first time getting caught. It wasn't even close to her first time doing it.
There's a little tiny window that I've got to fill the gaps in, okay?
But
now,
I'm sure
I will,
he's
hang on.
talked to you guys. He would remember. He would remember who knocked him out.
No, he doesn't.
No.
He got hit in the head. He lost his
head. They get blindsided, okay?
I've been hit in the head plenty of times.
If you've been hit in the head with that gun at full speed by a big dude?
Well, let me tell you this, okay? Because I want to tell you a couple other things before, I don't want you to sit here and lie to me and then down the road I have to say, you're lying. There's more to it. So you're in Chelsea's car, okay? Obviously there's people out and about that see you in Chelsea's car driving around.
They saw me.
Now, the same people that see you driving around also see a Hispanic guy and 2 black guys hop in that car inside of the complex where all this happened.
Nobody never got in the car with me.
I'm telling you what
I'm
telling you what people tell us. I wasn't there, but I'm telling you what people tell us.
Later on in the morning, we all got in the car and we left.
I'm telling you that people tell me, the people that are outside in that complex, say they see you driving this car around the complex, slow, looking for somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, they see a couple black, listen, hang on, let me talk, yeah, by yourself. At the same time, they see a couple black guys walking around the complex. You know, who knows who they are right now.
I never.
Hang on, let me talk.
They never got in the car with me when I got back.
When
I got back, they was in the house.
Hang on, let me explain this, okay? I wasn't there. I'm telling you what people are telling me, okay?
Okay, but people can say anything because they just think like, okay, from this time frame that happened. How you know these people didn't see these people like or whatever, like the tape and all that shit when that happened, when they found them? How do you know like it was during this time, like when I was looking for them, like right after I looked for them, that's when they hopped in the car with me? This could be somebody seeing me way after the crime.
These people see you driving around and they see you park, and they talked about very specifically where the car went, where it stopped, where it parked.
Right there in the front, like I told you.
Well, they put you in the complex during some of this time, and they say they hear a shot, and they see these 2 guys. They see these 2. Diara, let me talk. Please let me talk, okay? We're not going to get anywhere if we're going to interrupt each other, okay? Yeah. So I'm calm. You know, we're going to talk about this, all right? I'm just telling you what these guys are telling me. They see this car driving around with you driving, okay? They see the car stop. They see a Hispanic guy get in, and they see 2 black guys get in, and the car leaves, all right? Now, there's video cameras around South Norcross Tucker, okay? That shopping center where you're saying you stopped is on video. I've looked at that video, and I don't see your car stopped in that shopping center. I'm going to tell you that right now.
There is a place where there's not no video right there. I didn't park in the same
How do
parking
you know
lot
where
as
the
their
video
car.
is and where the video is not? The video is from across the street,
Yeah,
looking at that whole parking lot.
Because the gas station is there, you know what I'm saying?
Gas station, bananas, there's cameras on that.
Yeah, there's cameras all over there. There's
I'm
cameras
telling
all
you
over
that car didn't
across.
stop in that
That car
complex.
did stop right there.
Okay, so you're saying that car stopped at the time
I parked right there to the left of the shopping center, on the left side of the shopping center. It wasn't in the same exact little parking that their car was in, but it was right next to it, in the very front of the apartments. Like, that's why I don't even remember the name, because there's not even a name in the front. I know what I'm talking about, because there's a little entrance, and there's no name.
Well, there
right?
is, but no, there's a name.
Well, I don't see the name. I've never noticed the name, because it's not like right on the side, or like Highland Walk High has a big sign like that. It's not nothing like that.
She's interrupting him because she knows where this is going. Eyewitnesses in the complex saw her circling that parking lot slow. They saw the Hispanic guy and 2 black guys get in that car. And the shopping center video she thought would back her story? Perowski already pulled it. Her car never stopped where she said it did. This is what happens when you build a lie around a location you didn't bother to scout. The cameras were rolling, and she had no idea which angles they covered.
The place where JP was telling Looney to bring guns back to is where this gun came from before it got picked up by police.
Well, no, but that's not the gun that I had. I had a bigger gun.
So when you're walking through, so when you're on the phone with this guy, trying to meet up with him.
Because see, when y'all took
gaps.
That gun.
Well, let's talk
this right now.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're talking to this guy on the phone, okay, you can see I've color coded it to make it make sense. All right, yellow is you talking to this victim that got killed. Red is Looney. Gray is JP. Okay. So there's a very interesting pattern of phone calls here that is very, very interesting to us, okay?
Right here in particular. Because look, this call right here, this call from 6:05 in the morning to 6:09 in the morning is the call where the guy dies. The next person you call and you talk to for 2 minutes is JP.
Yeah.
I need to know what was said during this set of 2 minutes of conversation directly after this guy died. This is going to be the difference between you getting stuck in this.
I called him and I was like, did y'all hear that? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
And then I believe the incoming call was probably Chelsea, right? Like the other one, the
What are
other
these-
incoming
what-
call,
okay,
the
what's-
white or what?
No,
What
these
is
are
that?
JP's phone.
Yeah, this is JP's, but I'm saying down here because I remember talking to Chelsea too to get both sides before I even
Okay.
rolled back up
What
to the house.
did he say during this conversation for a minute and a half with you?
Really, like, I don't remember exactly what was said, but really, like, I just said, like, what's going on, what happened, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just heard, like, some gunshots, and really, like, he was just like, everything cool, just go back to the house. And that was it.
That's a lot shorter conversation than a minute 30.
I mean, like, it was more than that, but yeah. Like,
That's what I'm
I
saying. What did
mean,
he say?
I don't remember by detail what he said. I don't remember to the T what was said in a phone call that happened months and months and months ago. Do you remember what you even said to your wife 5 months ago? I'm sure you don't. Like, I don't remember exactly what was said, but I just gave you the real, like, I'm being honest with you. You already know what it was about. Like,
we
you,
know what it was about. We know what all this is about. We don't know exactly what was said because I wasn't on the phone with you.
exactly. So I don't remember what was said neither. Like that, you don't remember.
Well,
Everything that you say.
the reason why we're asking you this is because earlier in our conversation, you said that after your phone disconnects with the guy, and you hear the
Yeah, and
static,
Chelsea
that
had
you
called
tried
me.
calling him back. Well, that's not true.
I did try to call him.
No, you didn't, because
I
I had
did
your
try
phone
to
records
call
right
him.
here, and you never
I
tried to
did
call
call
him.
him.
From what phone?
I did try to call him.
From what phone, Diara?
It doesn't matter what phone.
It
but
does,
I did
because
try to call
that's the
him.
difference between me being able to tell a jury that you're lying and me being able to tell a jury that you're telling the truth. It's very important right now that you're telling the truth.
Call him. I
From
do
what?
remember trying to call
I'm
him.
asking you a simple question.
From
what
my phone.
Okay. Those are your phone records right there. You're more than welcome
Mhm.
to look through those. And if I made a mistake and I missed highlighting something, please tell me. But I'm telling you that at the last call that this guy made, where you were talking to him for
Uh-huh.
several minutes, your phone never called his phone ever again. And that's a fact. That's not me making that up. That's something that the phone company told me. Okay?
Mhm.
They record every time. If you call me for 1 second
Uh-huh.
and hang up your phone, that's recorded and that record's saved.
Mhm.
You never called him after that. Immediately you turn around and call JP. That's why your conversation with JP could be the difference in us believing whether or not you were there or not, or you knew what was going on or not.
I
Okay,
wasn't
what
there.
did he
I'm
tell
telling
you?
you the truth. I just simply can't remember what I said.
So what did he tell
Like,
you?
Who? I don't remember what was said. He just said to just go back home. Like, that's what.
Phone records don't forget. That's the thing about them. Diara's claiming she can't recall a minute-and-a-half conversation from months ago, and sure, that sounds reasonable, until you remember the context. This wasn't a chat about dinner plans. This was her first call after Steven Carden stopped breathing. You don't forget what you said in the 60 seconds after someone dies. You just don't want to say it out loud. And Perowski knows that, which is why he's not letting her off the hook with, "I don't remember." He's making her sit in it.
The whole thing with the guns. What ended up happening with these guns? Because I know
that
Tyler
gun-
was having some conversations with JP about
Yeah.
about taking guns over there. So tell me about that.
Yeah, but it was a 38 and a big gun, like that we had. The other guns.
So what ended up happening? So did that gun? Whatever happened
It
with that
always
gun?
stayed with them. And I guess that's how y'all ended up with it because some of the people that they was hanging with, that they let hold it.
Well, I've got pictures of you.
These are the guns that we had. I had this
Right.
gun here.
That's the
And a
38
little,
you're saying?
no, this is a
That's
kill.
that one.
This is a 50 round drum 9. Like,
Oh, okay.
so, and the other one is not in these pictures. It's like a gun
What's
box.
that one?
It's a 38. That's an AK-47.
Talking about the
but
big chrome one?
that was like, that was never in my possessions.
Because a lot of these pictures with this gun, this gun, a lot of these pictures were taken after the homicide. I mean, there's pictures of you and Looney hanging out where he's got this gun after.
Well,
after this
yeah,
guy gets
because
killed.
he felt like, I guess because they had all came back, they all went back to Highland Walk. Like, after like a few days or whatever, they all went back over there. So it like died down. Like when they thought it died down or whatever, like JP and all them went back like with the guns. So we would all go still. Like if I didn't have nowhere else to crash, I would go there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's basically how it went. Up until the day that they got evicted, until Chelsea got evicted out of there, and I was in there with her. And like the police like raided the place, and that's how we got evicted. And it was just me and her in there, but like there was no guns there or anything like that. Like they had already left. Like we would just get together and chill and like smoke and drink, you know.
So was Looney or you holding these? Because I know there's, like I said,
No,
there's
not that one.
JP's
Like I
texting
said,
you guys.
I gave
So you guys were hanging on to these?
I held the big gun with the lights on it and a small 38 special.
Okay. So you held
those are the
two.
guns that we held.
And those are the ones that where did you bring those to?
Well, I had took them with me, like in hotels and stuff like that, and just
Where did they end
around.
up? You give them to somebody?
We gave the 38 back to JP because it was his, and the other gun, like I sold that shit. They don't even know about it, but I sold that shit.
What, the big one?
Yeah. This one right here that Looney's holding, I sold it.
To who? Some dude?
Just some like I didn't even know him, but I just sold it. Like somebody I know introduced me to them, so.
How much?
For $400.
Now she's walking them through the guns like it's inventory day at a pawn shop. Here's the thing about Diara Hood that makes this so damning. She's not just admitting she held these weapons. She's casually describing selling one off for $400 to a stranger and acting like that's cleanup rather than evidence disposal. The AK-47 in those photos? Taken after Steven Carden was already dead. She's posing with firearms while a family is planning a funeral. And she's telling Perowski all of this like it helps her case.
I'm saying this is what the plan was. This is what the plan originally was. We talked about robbing them, but I had a bad feeling about it. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, well, if anything, let me try to do it by myself, like type share or something. You know what I'm saying? Like to where if anything was to go wrong, like, hey, like it's not a big fucking deal because these guys were trying to like have sex with me for money. You know what I'm saying? They wanted a fucking girl, a young ass girl, to ride with them to fucking Simpson Road to fuck 4 guys for some money. Who knows what the fuck they planned on doing to me? You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So at the end of the day, like he looked at it like no. So really, I just feel like JP tried to intervene before it happened.
So all right.
Like I heard the guy, like I said, like I guess JP walked up. Really, the guy had bumped into JP really, like, and he starts asking him, well, where's Snoop? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
how do you know that?
Do you know Snoopy? I know it because I know, like, this is how it happened, because I know this is how what Looney seen.
Is this something, so this is what Looney told you, or is this something you heard on the phone, or what?
I heard it on the phone. I heard it. You know what I'm saying?
Tell me about first what you heard on the phone.
On the phone, okay, like, I heard him. Like, I told you, like, it sounded like he was talking to somebody, like, and I said I wasn't sure who he was talking to. I know he wasn't talking to the other guy because he was asking, like, somebody else if they knew me. Like, that they were trying to find me.
So the guy you were on the phone with was asking this?
Yeah, to somebody else.
Right.
And I'm just like, I guess it was JP because Looney told me that JP shot him. You know what I'm saying? Looney told me that.
Okay.
And I know he's not going to lie to me. And I know Looney's not no killer.
Right.
Looney ain't even no fucking robber, really. So at the end of the day, I know he's not going to have no reason to lie to me. Like, I really think, like, JP, the one who caught them, you know what I'm saying, walking, like, outside the car when he realized, like, oh, yeah, this bitch on the phone with, you know what I'm saying, with him. Like, he not stupid. Like you say, it's a bunch of cuts around there. Now, me, I haven't been hanging around Holland walking out shit. I don't know them cuts. But he know them cuts, like the back of his hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how he always get around this shit. Because I believe he had warrants some shit, too. Like, so he would never like to be out in the open.
We talked about robbing them, but I had a bad feeling. That's what she just said. She's admitting to planning an armed robbery and framing it like intuition saved her from a moral failing. Here's what Diara doesn't understand about Georgia felony murder law. If you plan a robbery and someone dies during that robbery, you are guilty of murder. Period. Doesn't matter who pulled the trigger. Doesn't matter if you were in the car or on the phone or across town. She just handed Perowski the entire legal framework for her conviction while trying to blame JP for the execution.
What was their plan? What was their plan going to be?
Like, yeah,
what
I guess,
did you guys
like,
talk
to
about?
be ready to rob
you were
them,
obviously
if that
going to
was
meet
the case,
these guys.
if that was smooth.
So
but, like, I was never going to really prostitute with them or nothing like that. I was just going to see, like, either if I could, like, kick it with them, chill with them, get them drugged up to the point where, like, you know what I'm saying, maybe they pass out or something, like, and I could, like, take off with their shit, or maybe, like, tell them to get in the shower or anything like that, you know what I'm saying, like, before we have sex, and, like, you know, like, they would leave their pants or wallet somewhere, you know, and I take off with it. Like, I'm down with doing shit like that, not down with, oh, like, let me just come pop your ass for a few dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. But I guess JP didn't like my plan. He didn't like my plan, so he cut it off and took an initiative of like, I guess, walking up on them the way that where I was supposed to meet them. You get what I'm saying?
So
and like it was just bad luck on them guys because they got out of the car to look for me instead of staying in their fucking car like I told them to. And meeting me, because I told him, I gave him a description of my car and everything. Like, if I had planned on really doing some hot ass shit like that, do you really think I would have gave him the description of the car that I was in? You think I would have been wearing the same shit I was wearing when I left the club? Like, just fix my makeup and stuff? Like, if it was something that serious, like, I would have never done it that close.
Well, this is why we're talking to you, and that's why it's, that's why it's
I'm
important
not that
to
fucking
talk to you.
stupid, and I really feel bad. Like, I really feel guilty, and, like, so did Looney, like, even though he didn't even have nothing to do with the shit, really. Like, you know, I mean, he really felt, like, bad and stuff when he found out one of the guys died, and so did I. But really, like, he's the one who told me, like, that JP was the shooter. Like, he was, like, he a killer, like.
So what did Looney, we talked about what you heard on the phone. What did Looney tell you about what he saw and what happened?
Yeah, from when he left the apartment, what did Looney say happened after he walked out?
He was really, like, skeptical of talking in front of them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You guys have talked since then in private, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like,
what does he tell you about what happened?
Told me, like, really, he kind of, like, at first, like, he was just, like, really, like, sketchy, like, withdrawn, and then he, like, you know, it was, like, kind of like you're dealing with a trauma patient, like, somebody.
I understand, yeah.
You know, like, he saw something, and it clearly, like, it's something that he's never seen before or experienced, and he was just scared, you know, like, damn near in tears, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he had a, you know, like, he looked up this guy, you know, like, and he saw that the guy, like, had, you know, like, a kid and stuff like that, I guess, or whatever, like, the news said about him.
Yeah, he had a kid, he had a small baby.
And, yeah, and so, like, he was, like, crying, you know, like, and he cried, and he was just like, you know, it's fucked up, like, you know, and he was just like, that guy's crazy, like, he has no conscience, like, he's like, man, like he's fucking crazy. He was just like, he doesn't give a fuck about nobody, he's crazy.
But what did he end up telling you about what they did when they left? When you guys all split up, what did he tell you about what they did?
He was just like that they walked and that they ended up seeing them, like, because they were gonna go through the cut, and like they ended up seeing them, and that I guess JP approached them, and that the guy started asking him if they knew Snoopy, and that's when, like, I guess he knocked the guy out and shot the other one.
So
Is Looney saying JP did everything? Like JP?
Yeah, basically.
Attacked both of them?
Basically, I guess one of them was not paying attention to what was going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, somehow, some way, I guess they were not, like, close together. You get.
Looney cried when he looked up Steven Carden and saw he had a baby. That's what she just said. She's describing remorse from a man who watched the murder happen while she sits there recounting it like gossip. And here's what makes this worse. Steven Carden wasn't just a father. He was a volunteer in his community. He mentored kids. He showed up for people who had nobody else. Diara set up a robbery that killed a man whose entire life was about helping others. Looney's tears don't absolve anyone. They just confirm everyone knew exactly what was lost.
Give me a few. I've got some back.
I mean, let's say if I admit to everything, like, whatever. Let's say, okay, so how much time I'm looking at for all these people?
What do you mean admit to everything?
Like, let's say if I just be
more that
like,
you haven't
fuck
told
it,
me?
I have everything to do with everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I already admitted to having something to do with the crime because I'm the reason that they was there. You know what I'm saying? But I never murdered nobody or anything like that. But I think about, like, am I going to go down just for knowing about shit or whatever? Like, am I going to do a lot of time?
Well, I mean, I don't control who gets what time. You know, all I can tell you is what's on the books. I mean, the crime of murder, you know, it carries obviously up to death penalty all the way down to whatever else. I mean, so that's just what's on the books, you know. Yeah, I mean, people get life for murder, you know, it's obviously serious. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I mean, armed robberies generally are...
So basically, like, you saying I'm going to get charged for murder just for knowing about, like, just for having something to do with it. That's what you're telling me.
I'm going to talk about it with some people, okay? You know, it's a very good possibility. I'm not going to lie to you. And the reason why it's a possibility, and I'll have a better answer for you. I'm gonna talk about it, but it's just like anything else. I mean, you understand that if a group of people go out to do crime,
Yeah.
and even if one person in that group, if the intent is to go do a crime, it's called felony murder. And that's the way that the code section in Georgia reads, is that if while doing a felony or a crime, and I can get the specific language, but while in commission of a crime, if somebody gets killed, the people involved in that crime can be charged with murder.
Yeah, I know.
So, and that goes on both sides. If you're buying drugs and your friend that you're buying drugs with gets killed, technically everybody present could get charged with murder. So that's a possibility, okay? But obviously that's why it's important for you to be honest with us, because
I am being honest.
Well, and I'm not saying that you're not.
You gotta understand that I don't even got no lawyer.
Listen, I understand.
You haven't even told me if I'm charged with nothing.
You're not charged. I haven't charged you with anything.
I don't know, what's gonna happen after this conversation. You probably will drop a whole bunch of charges.
That question right there. Am I going to go down just for knowing about it? Under Georgia's felony murder statute, the answer is yes. And here's what Diara doesn't realize. Perowski isn't guessing. He's got her text messages coordinating the robbery. He's got phone records placing her on the line when Steven Carden took his last breath. He's got the murder weapon traced back to her Facebook photos. She thinks she's negotiating. She's actually confessing to a crime that carries life without parole, which is exactly the sentence she received.
What's gonna happen today? Or what are you gonna charge me with?
I'm gonna talk to the district attorney that is familiar with this case.
It's just I'll cooperate with you guys as much as I can, but I just want to be promised that, me and Loon do not go down for murder, that we did not do, that we do see the light of day again, because we don't deserve to get life, because we're not going to pull the trigger, and that was never the plan.
Sure. Well, most likely you're probably going to get charged with felony murder. Okay, which is, like I explained to you before, the way that felony murder is, if a group of people are doing a crime.
So I'm still gonna get life, basically.
Well, that's not what I'm saying at all. Okay, and I don't make that decision. That's completely out of my hands. Okay.
So how much time does felony murder carry? Is that manslaughter, 5 to 10 years, or is it
If I told you a number, I'd be lying to you. I really don't know. My role in this whole thing is I am a fact finder. Okay, I do the investigation. I put together a report with all of the facts, and I put in there everything that I found up to this point. I put in there everything you said, and then that whole package gets sent to the court, to the district attorney's office. Okay, everything you told me, and everything they'll ask me, was Diara cooperative? Did the information she tell you make sense? And I'll be perfectly honest about it. Okay, and I'll tell them everything. I will tell you that it's probably going to be very beneficial to you that you're being honest, and that what you're saying, that's all stuff that gets taken into account. Okay, but I don't want to give you a number and lie to you. Okay, because I don't think that would be fair. All right. Obviously, you're not the one that killed this guy, and to me, there's a difference between the person that kills somebody and other people. Okay, so. That's their decision. I can't tell you what they're going to decide, but in past cases, they take into account that you've been cooperative and that you're telling the truth and all of this stuff. Okay, and Looney's going to be pretty much in the same boat as you. I'm going to go talk to him as soon as.
Tell you the truth.
I hope so, and it sounds like.
Tell him that I told the truth. He's going to tell the truth.
Okay.
He would do it on his own.
Anyway. Yeah, and I don't see why he wouldn't, and I would like to hear, if he was there and he saw this, it would be obviously in his best interest to tell me about it. If he didn't shoot this guy, and that's the thing, is that the people that might have had some involvement, I don't know, I believe you when you say you probably didn't know. I don't think you would have been there if this was going to be a murder. I believe.
Felony murder is like manslaughter? 5 to 10 years? She genuinely has no idea what she's facing. And this is the problem with legal literacy in America. People hear murder and think it only applies to the person holding the weapon. Georgia doesn't see it that way. Georgia says if you planned the robbery and someone dies during that robbery, you carry the same weight as the shooter. Diara set this entire thing in motion. She recruited the crew, she picked the target, she made the call. And now she's asking Perowski if maybe she'll get a slap on the wrist. The answer arrived at sentencing. Life without parole.
I understand. So what was the deal with that whole thing? Did he let you guys in his house, it sounds like?
Yeah, it was the same thing, basically.
Did he think it was like...
I was a prostitute.
Okay, so he let you in for that?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
what happens once you guys are inside?
But once we're inside, like basically like, you know, still talking to him. Like he had to play the cocaine now. I never did it with him. He did it like by himself, and I drank a beer from his house, like talked a little while, like, but he didn't want the other girl inside. I guess because she looked like a boy, you know, and so since that, like, it was like that, it was kind of like, okay, like, how do we do this? Like, I waited until, well, he let me, like, check the house to make sure no one was there, because I told him, like, I'm not going to go inside your house with you to do anything, like, unless no one's here. So he let me check the house, you know what I'm saying? But he had already invited me in for beer, so really, like, I already saw that there was no one else there. And, like, so when he went to go, like, I guess refresh himself in the restroom or whatever, you know, to get ready, like, that's when I let the other girl in. And I pretty much, like, couldn't just lay him down in the bathroom. And I just told him, like, don't move. Like, I just want the money, and I just go, you know? But, like, I guess, like, he tried to fight. And so that's when, like, I was just like, look, just tie him up. That's it. And, like, so when we getting the stuff out the house, like, I just heard screaming and stuff. So then I realized that, like, he got out, like, and he's fighting with the other girl, you know, like, when I was taking the stuff out. And I run out and I just see them fighting. I see people watching. So, yeah, like, I did let off, but, like, I didn't shoot at him or, like, try to aim it at him. I just to scare him to let her go. And then we ran.
Was JP there for that?
No, he was there, but, like,
Who were the
not
two guys that were there, that were
Like,
outside?
Well,
There's two guys that were outside.
It was him, but I don't know who else was there. JP was the only one that I saw. Like, he was the only one that I saw. And, like, you know, I gave the TV to him, like, to go. But I ran away, like, on foot. Like, they left me. So,
What did
I
were they in a
ran
vehicle or
foot.
something?
Yeah, but I never seen, like, who he was with or anything like that because, like, he left me. Like, when I guess the shot was fired, like, he had got scared or whatever, and he left. But I just ran off on foot.
How did you guys find this dude to...
Like, it was just real, like, okay, I was just walking around, and it started, like, pouring down raining, and I had no money, I was hungry. I really didn't want to be staying with them, so, like, I was like, fuck it, you know, like, with this.
So what was JP and them? What was their role? I mean, were they just there to watch over you, or?
Like, well, really, like, yeah, just to get the stuff out because, like, you see, I'm a small female, like, you know.
So were they the ones that loaded because that TV is pretty decent sized TV.
Yeah. And
So
you know, I ran on foot, so like
when the guys in the bathroom, yeah, where does that stuff go? TV
like,
goes to them.
Yeah, like I was basically like in there, like I was ransacking the place, and like they took the stuff.
She just walked them through the entire robbery like she's giving directions to a restaurant. The prostitute rused to get inside, checking the house for witnesses, letting the crew in through the back, firing a weapon to scare him. And somehow she still thinks cooperation is going to save her. Here's what she doesn't understand. Georgia doesn't grade on a curve. You don't get points for being honest about how you helped kill someone. You get sentenced for helping kill someone. Perowski isn't taking notes because he's impressed. He's building a timeline she can't walk back.
With these guys' property, the night that those guys got killed, because there was some stuff stolen from them. Do you have any clue where that stuff ended up? Or did they talk about any property that was taken? Do you have any clue?
Yeah, like it just got tossed.
What did they say was taken from them? Do you remember?
Sure, the phones and the wallets, whatever they had on them. But like I know like nothing was really like no money or nothing like was found. So
You think you don't know what happened to them though, or who ended up keeping that stuff and doing something with it? Do you remember?
well, really like the everything. I don't know. Like I really just. I think it was just thrown in the sewer, from my memory.
You know where or who did it? Who threw it?
I threw it.
Okay. Where did you throw it?
Just I don't really remember. Like, it was just somewhere, like, around the Duluth area. I was riding and I just threw it in there.
So what all did you throw?
I just threw everything in there. I just threw
Do you remember
it.
what it was though? What items?
I didn't look through nothing. I really didn't want nothing to do with it. Because it was like, I mean, if it would have been robbery, then yeah, I would have been all down to spend money or whatever. But I don't want nothing to do with no fucking murder. You know what I'm saying? The only reason why I even took it was just because of the fact, like, Looney panicked me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he made me scared of JP. You know what I'm saying? He made me have fear, like, that if I didn't do something, like, he was gonna harm us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because of how scared he was acting. So I was just like, well, come on, I'll just take everything. And
how did you, tell me about that. Where did you take possession, or how long after did you get these items?
After everything, like, really, like, what the deal was, I got scared for Looney. And, like, I didn't want him traced back to the crime.
Sure.
So I went back and got them myself.
From, who'd you get them from?
Well, the guys, like, I got them off of them.
So they, after that, you're talking about the two victims?
Yes.
Okay.
Now she's disposing of evidence and still acting like she's the victim in all this. She threw the phones and wallets in a sewer because she didn't want nothing to do with no murderer. But then admits she went back to retrieve items directly off Steven Carden's body. That's not panic, that's cleanup. And notice how she blames JP for making her scared. Classic deflection. She's framing herself as a frightened bystander while confessing to tampering with a crime scene. Perowski's letting her talk because every sentence is another nail.
Like, he didn't want to give a story or whatever. I guess because it was kind of embarrassing that he was probably trying to pay for sex or buy drugs or whatever. I guess the embarrassment was to him that he didn't want to tell what happened.
Okay. And that was, so you got the wallet and the two cell phones, that was all that you remember taking?
Yeah, that was all I took. And, like, I just did that kind of, like, because I don't know. Like, I just thought,
Was anybody else with you when you did that?
When I walked up, like, no, like, they, like, Looney was in the car and was doing, like, she didn't know. That's why.
So they stayed at the front of the neighborhood?
Yeah.
And they'd let you go out by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it would have been more suspicious for me and Looney to get out the car to Chelsea, and, like, I didn't want to alarm her.
What did she think you were doing?
Like, I just said, like, that they dropped something. I was just like, look, I think, like, he dropped something or whatever. I'm just going to go back and check. Like, you know, like, she knew that something bad had happened, but she didn't know to the extent how bad it was yet. Like, until after everybody was away, and then I, like, explained everything to her.
And then so you just ended up driving around and you dropped their stuff in a sewer somewhere?
Yeah.
Was it that same day?
Mm-hmm.
So you left with the stuff and just immediately kind of took off and
Dropped it.
somewhere? Like in a little
And
sewer
Chelsea
thing, like
left.
on a street, like where the
Yes.
curb is?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
Like, I just immediately just threw it, like, you know, I just,
You didn't keep anything out of them?
no. I didn't keep anything. No money, no cards, no nothing. I didn't even go through the wallets.
Okay. What was
Okay.
JP's opinion of you doing that? What'd he say?
You know, he was just like, he didn't really say nothing about it. He was just like, a lot of people wouldn't even have the boss to go do that. But, you know, I just love Looney so much. And he was just, you know, like, really one of the only genuine people in my life. So, you know, I just didn't want to see him, like, get involved. And also, like, I'm not stupid by a long shot. Like, I knew you guys been wanting to talk to me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know that you were going to have the phone records. I know about all that shit.
Sure.
But for the moment, that just bought a little time, you know, to get rid of it.
I understand. I mean, you're, you know, that's... Nobody's accusing you of
And
being
now
stupid,
that's
trust me.
100% the truthful story.
Okay. I appreciate you telling me that. I know, like I said, my goal here is to walk out of here and have nothing else come up that's different than what you're telling me. And that's all I can advise you to do, and you know, that's the only thing I can go forward and say, you know, that you've been truthful, is if when we leave here nothing else comes up.
I'm not stupid. by a long shot. That's what she just said. And honestly, she's right about one thing. She's not stupid. She knew exactly what she was doing when she went back for those phones. She knew exactly what evidence she was destroying. She even admits she anticipated the phone records would come back to haunt her. The problem is, knowing you're guilty and knowing how to avoid consequences are two very different skill sets. What we just watched was Diara Hood confessing not just to participation, but to consciousness of guilt. She admitted she disposed of evidence specifically because she knew investigators would trace her. She acknowledged the phone records would connect her. And then she wrapped it all up by saying she did it because she loves Looney so much. As if loyalty to your crew somehow cancels out the man you helped kill. Here's the thing about this case that makes it particularly damning. The phone evidence didn't just place her on a call with Steven Carden. It established a pattern. Months of coordinated robberies documented in text messages. The gun evidence didn't just connect her to a weapon. It connected her to a weapon she photographed herself holding and then sold for $400 after a man died. And now, her own words in this room confirmed she understood all of this was coming and tried to buy time anyway. Perowski never raised his voice once. He didn't need to. Diara Hood built the entire prosecution's case with her own mouth, while believing she was explaining her way out of trouble. That's not interrogation theater. That's textbook investigative work, meeting someone who fundamentally misunderstood the weight of what she was facing. In July 2026, her final appeal was denied. The court didn't find anything worth reconsidering because there was nothing to reconsider. She orchestrated a robbery that ended with Steven Carden dead. Georgia's felony murder statute doesn't care that she didn't pull the trigger. It cares that she recruited the crew, selected the target, made the call, and then went back to clean up afterward. Steven Carden spent his life volunteering and mentoring in his community. He showed up for people who needed someone to show up. Just last month, a local documentary aired about his contributions and the void his death left behind. His family still carries that loss. The community still feels it. And Diara Hood will spend the rest of her life in prison for taking someone whose entire existence was built around helping others. That's the outcome here. Life without parole. No bargaining. No reduced sentence for cooperation. Just accountability for a crime she planned and then tried to minimize while confessing to it in real time. If this case reminded you how quickly someone can convince themselves they're the victim in a situation they created, you should check out what I covered recently. A jealous man who killed the wrong person entirely and still walked into his interrogation believing he was going home that night. The delusion in that room is something else. I'll leave it linked for you. Thank you for watching this one with me. Steven Carden deserved better than what happened to him. At least justice found its way to the people responsible.